If they should call, let me know when. So this was in an afternoon. The following morning, I think it was a Friday morning, I get a call from all three countries in particular, from all three countries, almost at the same time, but separate calls. Mr. President, I understand you're upset with us. Please, we don't want to do that. I said, well, you're not taking back the people that you happen to send into our country. They're terrorists. They're bad people. You can handle them better than we can. You have to take them back. Sir, we would be honored to take them back. I had no idea there was a problem. Please send them back. These generals couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, we're sending thousands of people out of our country back to these countries from where they came. This went on for years during the Obama administration, for years, and Bush. But this went on for years during previous administrations. They wouldn't take them back. I wouldn't take them back if I were them either. Look, these are streetwise people. These leaders are tough, and they're smart, and they're mean. And they think we're stupid. You know, they think the United States is a country that's run by really stupid people. They want to be politically correct, but it's not politically correct. They're dumb. And I did it in one phone call. I did it with Macron in France, because you know this. He went to put on a tax on all American companies doing business in France. And I gave it to our Secretary of the Treasury. I said, Steve, go and negotiate something very strong, because it's really, you can't let this happen. They're going to tax only American companies very substantially. And they came back, and anyway, bottom line, after a couple of weeks, they couldn't make a deal. They come back again. I said, I got one more week, and then I'll take care of it. Couldn't make a deal. I call them up. I say, Emmanuel, how are you? Oh, I am so fine. Beautiful accent. I love their accent. I could never imitate that beautiful French accent. Oh, I am so happy to speak to you, Mr. President. You're such a great honor. Now, Emmanuel, let me ask you, I hear you're taxing, you want to pass, and it's going along very fast, and pretty soon you're going to be taxing all American countries doing business in France. Is that a correct statement? Oh, yes, it has passed, and thank you for calling. Thank you so much. I said, no, you don't understand. We're not going to let you do that. No, it is too late to do anything about it. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. If you don't terminate that immediately, like I mean today, we are going to tax all of your wine and champagne that comes into the United States. We are going to put a tariff on it of 100%. No, you can't do that. No. I said, well, maybe I can't, but I have the document here, and I've already signed it. This goes into effect at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. All wine and champagne coming in from France is taxed at 100%. We're putting a tariff on. I said, so you have 15 minutes to let me know what you want to do. No, I will call you back. Calls me back in about 3 minutes. President, we have decided that in order to have a fine relationship with the United States, we will not be putting any tax on American businesses, right? Meaning jobs. A lot of these people I was saving, I don't even like them. They're not even very good people, but I got to do what's right for the country, right? But you can do a lot of that. I did many of those things with a phone call. We appointed nearly 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. Look what's been happening over the last week. They rule great on policy, but they always rule badly on me. Give your tax returns. Nobody had to give tax. Give your tax returns. By the way, did you see I gave it? And everyone said, oh, that's that. That was the end of that. Probably should have given it a little easier, but they shouldn't be allowed to look at your tax. They're not allowed to do it anywhere else. But they rule against me. But they rule good policy-wise, very good policy-wise. And last week, they ruled to move our country forward with a merit-based system of education. How about that? If you work hard and you get great marks, get great boards, you get great everything, you get into a college, and somebody that had much lesser achievement doesn't get into that college, perhaps. Maybe they have to work harder or whatever. The Supreme Court also ruled that President Biden is not allowed to wipe out hundreds of billions of dollars and probably trillions of dollars of student loan debt, which would have been very unfair to the millions of people who have paid their debt through hard work and diligence over many years, right? They also gave a very big victory, as you know, to religious liberty. It was a tremendous win for religious liberty. The people were very impressed. Not to mention the fact, this is 51 years, that they ruled against Roe v. Wade, giving pro-lifers a tremendous power to negotiate. And moving this issue back to the states, where for many decades, legal scholars and many others always felt it should be. But remember, that issue has to be spoken about properly, because Republicans, many of them don't speak about it properly. The Democrats are the radicals, because the Democrats are willing to kill a baby after 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, and even after birth. They're the radicals. Like President Ronald Reagan, I support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. Other people don't. I do. But now people that believe in life will be able to stop the radical left Democrats from killing babies, and they'll be able to, they have power. For the first time, pro-lifers have power to negotiate something that will be very good. You now have power. You had no power at all. They did whatever they wanted to do. And they are the radical ones, not the pro-lifers. They're not. It has to be spoken about properly. But what you have now is an ability to negotiate something before you had no ability whatsoever. Remember the governor of Virginia, former governor, where he said, the baby is born. And after the baby is born, you sit down with the mother and you make a determination as to whether or not you will terminate that baby's life. This is a baby that's born. This is not in the 9th month. This is a baby that's born. And now you have a tremendous power to negotiate. But the Republicans don't know how to talk about the issue. They don't know how to talk. I think they're afraid to talk about it, and they don't know how to talk about it. This was a great victory for life. This was a great victory for humanity. But it's really a great victory to get something done. You now have tremendous power to negotiate something. And they, remember this, they are the radicals, not the pro-lifers. They tried to make the pro-lifers a radical. No, no. When they're willing to go into 8, 9, 10 months, after birth, they have laws that pass actually saying it's okay after birth. They are the radical ones. And this is an issue, if properly spoken about, it's because nobody wants to see that after a period of time, many people right from the beginning, but nobody wants to see after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, death, termination. Nobody wants to see it. They're the radicals. Remember that. They're the radicals, not the pro-lifers. And now you have the power to negotiate, and good things are going to come about it. And you moved it back to the states where all the legal scholars said it should be. And 51 years they tried to do that. I got it done. I fully rebuilt the U.S. military, created Space Force, defeated 100% of ISIS, and brought our troops back home. I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. But all of that was only just the beginning. And here's some of the agenda, a very strong agenda that I'll immediately implement when we become, because it's really we, the 47th president of the United States. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We will get rid of it. We were doing a good job. We will get rid of it. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. Somebody said, are you on Russia's side? Are you on Ukraine's side? You know what the side of? I want people to stop dying. That's the side I'm on. I did that with that crazy person who did the CNN town hall. Did anybody see the CNN town hall? It's one of the largest ratings they've ever had. And they fired the head of CNN because of it. The world is a little topsy-turvy. I'll get that done within 24 hours. Everyone says, oh, you can. Absolutely I can. Absolutely I can. I'm the only candidate who can make this promise to you. I will prevent World War III. And that's where you're headed. You're headed to World War III. And unlike Ron DeSanctimonious, who voted to gut Medicare and gut Social Security, he voted 3 times, and they think it was 6 times, to gut Social Security. Think of that. And voted 3 times to raise the retirement age of Social Security to 70, which is a big raise. I will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors. We're going to protect it. And you know how you can believe that? Because for 4 years I protected it. And there was a lot of pressure. 4 years I protected it. And the same thing with Russia and the same thing with China. They said, well, how do we know he stopped? Because for 4 years you never sort of signed that Putin wanted to go into Ukraine. I knew he did. But I told him, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to be so bad for you if you do it. And, you know, I told him some tough things, and he didn't believe me, but he believed me 10%. That's all you need. Same thing with President Xi of China. Don't go into Taiwan. Don't do it. Don't go into Taiwan. It'll be horrible if you do it. Horrible for China if you do it. And he believed me enough, like 3%. That's all he needed. But now, as soon as I'm out, there's bad things happening in Taiwan, and the Russia-Ukraine situation could not have been worse. Hundreds of thousands, I believe millions of people, I think the numbers are far greater than they're reporting. Millions of people are dead. Cities are obliterated. Cities that were beautiful cities with beautiful 1,000-year-old buildings that you can never replace, gold domes, these beautiful cities are obliterated. And then they'll say 2 people were hurt and 3 people were killed. No, hundreds and even thousands of people were killed in those attacks. It's a horrible thing. I'll get it done within 24 hours. To stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting conservatives, Republicans, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal racist in reverse enforcement of the law. I will do that. And as the horrific riots in France have proven, we must also redouble our efforts to ensure that anyone who comes to America shares our values and assimilates into our culture. We don't want people coming into our country that hate us. We want people that love us. Look at what's going on in France. Who would have thought? I predicted it, actually. I was one of our other. You ever see those signs? It's an honor. It's an honor, but that Trump was right about everything. They make Trump. A lot of it's common sense, isn't it? You know, is he a conservative? No, I'm a person with common sense. Great common sense, and most of the people in this room have common sense. As an example, who the hell wants an open border for the world to spill in, for them to dump every person who's mentally ill or a convicted killer or convict into our country? I mean, who wants that? How is it good for us? It's a killer for us, and you'll be seeing it for years to come, and that's why we got to get them all out. We're going to get them out. It's common sense. Under the Trump administration, we imposed extreme vetting and put on a powerful travel ban to keep radical Islamic terrorists and jihadists out of our country. Well, how did that work out? We had no problem, right? They knew they couldn't come here. They had that moniker. They couldn't come here. When I returned to office, the travel ban is coming back even bigger than before and much stronger than before. We don't want people blowing up our shopping centers. We don't want people blowing up our cities, and we don't want people stealing our farms, so it's not going to happen. The United States will not be condemned to the same fate as is happening in France. And I told Macron this was going to happen when I first met him. I will also order our government to deny entry to all communists and Marxists. Look, we have Marxists, fascists, communists, they're pouring into our country. We are going to deny them access to our country. Now, the one problem is, what about all the ones we already have that happen to be politicians, okay? Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff. How about Schiff? Shifty Schiff. Liar. What a liar. He created the Russia hoax. And then, let me tell you a bad person. First in the nation caucuses. And you know who kept you first in the nation, don't you? When they wanted to move you, I said, there's no way we're moving. So that was the end of that. That subject did not last very long. As president, I strongly protected Iowa's first in the nation status in the Republican Party. And with me in the White House, Iowa will be the first in, this is going to be the first in many, many years. We're going to do things that have never been seen before. Our country is going to hell, and we're going to take our country back. We're going to take our country back. What's happening to our country is horrible. I don't think we've ever been in a situation like this. We have potential world wars. We have weaponry, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. You don't want to see it. You don't want to think about it. And we have a man in the White House that has no clue what the hell is happening. I want to thank Iowa Senate President Pro Tem Brad Zahn. Thank you, Brad, very much. Thank you. Attorney General. Thank you, Brad. Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Great guy. Thank you, Matt. Senior Advisor Representative Bobby Kaufman. Thank you, Bobby. There's Bobby. He's doing a great job. State Senators Lynn Evans, Sherilyn Westrick, and Dan Dawson. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Iowa Representative Heather Hora and Brad Sherman. Brad, I just want to pay respects to Brad and family. Last time I was here, I was with the whole family, and Brad's daughter passed away very suddenly, shortly thereafter, and a very special family, very special man, and she's looking down on you right now, Brad, and she's very proud of you. So I just want to pay my respects. Thank you, Brad, very much. Sheriff Andy Brown. He's central casting, this guy, I'm telling you. So where is he? He's a big, strong guy. That's it, central casting with a beautiful family. Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much, Sheriff. Dallas County Republican Chairwoman Kelly Koch. Nebraska, I love Nebraska too. We love Nebraska. I love Nebraska. That's a big contingent. I said backstage, I hope Nebraska's represented here. I guess they're represented. Great state. We won it twice. We won the primaries. We won the elections. It's just great. Well, we won it all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nebraska. Nebraska National Committeewoman Franchon Blythe. Thank you. Thank you, Franchon. And Nebraska GOP Chair Eric Underwood. Good guy, good man. Thank you, Eric. Great job. Great job, Eric. For 7 years, all of us have been fighting side by side to rescue our country from sinister forces who hate it and want to destroy it. You've been watching along with me. We're all watching together, and most of us can't even we don't have any clue what the hell they're doing and why they're doing it. We don't even have a clue, but it doesn't matter. That's what they want to do. And now we are approaching the most important battle of our lives. This January, we're going to win the Iowa caucuses in a historic victory. And on Election Day 2024, we're going to win the state of Iowa and Nebraska. You know, I'm doing a Nebraska event too, so we'll get it. But it's nice that so many of you are here. And we're going to evict a very crooked President, Joe Biden, from the White House. You know, I took the name away from Hillary. I don't like using names twice. Crooked Hillary. Now I call her Beautiful Hillary. Because I wanted to use it for Joe Biden, because it's so appropriate for Joe Biden. He's taken money from any country that wants to deal. And we're going to make America great again. Today, I want to talk about how we're going to fight, and I think no president has ever come close to me for fighting for farmers and farmers' rights. And we're thrilled to announce the launch of Farmers for Trump, led by Representative Mike Sexton, farmer and chairman. He's a farmer and chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, and a great guy, and I want to thank him. Representative Derek Wolf, farmer and vice chairman of the House Agriculture Committee. Great people. Representative Heather Hora, farmer and member of the House Agriculture Committee. And the Honorable David Kerr, farmer and former Iowa representative, and Jeremy Davis, former senior official at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. These are incredible people, and they take care of their farmers, and they know your business almost as well as you know it. I also want to thank some great Iowans, and they've come here and they've joined us for our panel discussion earlier. It was great. Starlin Perdue, Justin Schultz with the Renewable Fuels Association, John Tarks, a fifth-generation farmer and seed dealer. Good money in seed, I guess, John? Good money. More important, good product. It better work or we're gonna have a lot of problems. I'm proud to be the most pro-farmer president that you've ever had in the White House. We did more for American agriculture than any administration in history by far, and that's been pretty much acknowledged. There's been nobody disputing it. Under my leadership, our Department of Agriculture cut 7 old regulations for every 1 new regulation, saving farmers and taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars a year. We cut, as you know, regulations at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Cut more regulations, generally speaking, beyond the farms, cut more than any president in history by about 5 times. I repealed Barack Hussein Obama's, have you ever heard of him? Ridiculous Waters of the United States rule. You know what that is? That sounds so beautiful. Waters of the United States. And basically, they were taking your property away from you. That's what it was. I said, I'm going to get killed when I do that one. And I had people come to the White House. We had a news conference, and farmers and builders, developers, housing specialists. And these are grown men and women, in many cases women, and most of them were crying. They basically were taking away your property. It was terrible. It had a nice name, but it was a horrible thing that they did. And it was a truly outrageous federal power grab over every ditch and over every puddle on a private land. And you'd have a little puddle, a little water on your land, and they'd call it a regulated lake, and you couldn't get anywhere near it. It was horrible what they were doing. To protect family farms, I eliminated the unfair estate tax or death tax so that if and when you want to give away your farm to your children, and it's your time and you're going up to heaven, but you want to take care of your children, you don't have an estate tax to pay. That's nice. Now, I will tell you, if you don't like your child, then it's not going to help you too much. Who cares, right? Is there anybody that doesn't like their child? In which case, I just could save a few words. But most of you love your children, right? So, you know what was happening? You'd leave your farm to your children, and then the estate tax would be so great they'd have to go out to your local friendly banker who became unfriendly when you didn't pay the interest. And a lot of times they'd lose the farm. They worked hard, but they'd lose the farm. We ended that. And now you can leave your farm to those you love, and you don't have the estate tax. That's a tremendous saving, so thank you very much. And we gave a giant tax cut to family farms that operate as pass-through entities, you know what that is, which produce more than 90% of agricultural products in the United States. Tremendous tax cut. I ended the disaster known as NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of our country, and replaced it with the USMCA, that's Mexico, Canada, the best trade deal ever made, a gigantic victory for the American farmer. The USMCA pried open Canada's dairy, poultry, and egg markets for American producers. Now, you know what I'm saying, because I used to come here in Nebraska and other places, and they'd say, oh, it's so bad what Canada does to us, Canada sounds so lovely, but they really ripped off our farmers, and they really ripped off our country. The deal was so good, the deal that we just made, USMCA, that in fact, right now, Canada and Mexico are meeting at the White House because they want to renegotiate the deal with the Biden administration, and I say, don't do it. You had to live with that horrible NAFTA deal. Now you have USMCA where you're making a lot of money, and they want to renegotiate it. So that's always a good sign when they want to renegotiate. The thing is, you don't want to renegotiate. I stood up to China like no administration has ever done before, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury from China, and when no other president had gotten 10 cents from China, that not one other president before me got anything from China except ripped off. Our country was being ripped off. And when China targeted our farmers, you know about this very well because you were targeted at a level that nobody had ever seen before. I gave those same farmers $28 billion straight out of the tariffs that I was taking from China. I went to our Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue. I said, Sonny, how much damage has China done to our farmers? I said, you got to come back with a number. He came back. He said, it's about $28 billion. I said, well, we're going to give the farmers $28 billion right out of the pockets of China. You haven't heard those things, because the fake news doesn't like talking about them. Look at all those. They don't like talking about them. In fact, when we were talking, the polls are fantastic of us in Nebraska and Iowa and the farm states. The polls are fantastic, but I said, I shouldn't have said it because it was a little bit aggressive, but a few months ago when we were talking about, do you think he'll win Iowa? I said, how the hell can he not? I gave the farmers $28 billion. How the hell do you lose? So I shouldn't have said that probably, but nobody objected because they, when they opened up their mail one day and they got these massive checks, I did everything. I actually wanted to sign those checks, but people said it wouldn't be appropriate, so I didn't sign them. But you know where they came from. They came from me. There was no other president that was going to be doing that, and we got plenty more to do. I got Japan to slash or eliminate tariffs on over 90% of U.S. food and agricultural exports. It was very unfair. France, what they did to the European Union, what they do to us, it's unbelievable. It's not as bad, quite as bad as some of the countries like China, but it's horrible. The European Union was terrible. I dealt with Japan with Abe. Do you know Abe? He was a great man. He was a great man. He was fairly recently assassinated, but we had a tremendous relationship. He was great. He's going to be missed, but we were able to redo the deal with Japan so that they take your farm product. They weren't taking it, and it was great. But the European Union agreed to nearly triple its beef imports and opened its markets to American soybeans and other things that you people grow so beautifully, and we opened it up. But, it's a one-way street. We defend them, and we then get